What is up, YouTube, and welcome to episode 71 of the Chaos Daily. Let's get into it. So today we're going to look at the next parts that I printed. They're still in the printer, so I'm going to bring you along while I take them out so you can see how I do that. I'll do it real quick, and hopefully I can do it without getting my camera gear all sticky. So yeah, let's do that. Let's show you how quickly this goes. Get those gloves on. So already a couple of these are warped a little bit. And I need to strain the vat. There's some bits in there. But this is how easy it is to take big parts off a build plate like this. Pull your thumb under like that, hold the part underneath, pop. Done. Straight into the wash tub. Done. And washing the parts is as easy as this. Turn that up out of the way first. Rinse my build plate. Let it drain off, and then I'll chuck it into the next one. And while that's draining off, I'll clean my build plate. And chuck it straight back in. And normally before I do chuck it in, I give the build plate a wipe off. There's usually a bit of resin and stuff around the edges, and some of it seeps in just along the edges on the underside. And if I snap it back in there, it spits the resin onto the sidewall. So I usually just give it a wipe. There we go, done. And then I'll come back in and drain the vat later because I've got to get the bits out of it. All right, back to this part. So I've got a lot of the dirty wash off of it, most of it at least. Straight to the next one, pop the lid on that, stick it away. All right, and then we let it drain off. All right, so now's about the time that I normally get the USB stick, go and stick on the next print and stuff while that's draining, and then reset the vat, and I'll show you guys how I do that. It's real easy. This episode's gonna be a little bit longer, but hopefully there's still much to watch. I'm doing lots of camera angles and stuff, and trying stuff, and yeah, let's get going. All right, let's get this vat cleaned out. So I've got a jug that I use to do this, and a coffee strainer thing out of a coffee percolator type thing. I can reuse this, so I don't have to chuck it. This mesh works nicely. I just rinse it out in the alcohol after I'm done. Loosen the vat. Grab my scraper. So I've spoken to Siraya and Peopoly. I haven't got a message back. They're still trying to figure out what causes this. It might just be the LCD screen that's going bad. We're not too sure, but yeah. So generally after a print, it's a good idea to do this. Because you get a lot of sediment for long prints, like 12-hour prints, you get a lot of sediment that sits on the bottom. The grey is not so bad, the white is even worse. And I just go through and I just gently scrape the plate off. Extra gentle when I get to these hard bits. Let's see if I can get this FEP sheet to last a bit longer. I was a bit rough with the last one. Still learning and all that. Grab a bit of tissue paper. You can see there the bits that are scraped out. So it's always a good idea to strain your vat after each print. Don't be lazy. Chuck a little bit more in. Pour the rest of this out. I'm just going to sit it in here gently, carefully, and just let it drain out because I won't start the print yet until after I finish recording. Alright, and this is drained off now, so we can take a look at it. Let's get it in the curing station. Let's quickly rinse this off. Just like that. Alright, let's take a look at these. So everything's still a bit sticky, but I have to get them off the support material before I can chuck it in the curing chamber. Places where it's still like really sticky for some reason, I just give it a spray and a wipe. Let's see how easy these are to get off. Quite a bit of warping and stuff going on. Straight ribs. It's the same issues I was facing with the Albatross. This is essentially the same as what I did with the Albatross. I believe this is the 0.75mm rib thickness, but I definitely need to chuck these through the wash station again. They're still way too sticky than they normally are. This one turned out much nicer. But that one's right in the middle of the build plate, and I've noticed that stuff that's near the edge of the build plate, you'll see that it's usually on this side of the build plate here and over here where I see issues. Okay, yeah, this is the 15mm spacing. This one's not too bad either. This is super light. This is really lightweight. We'll see how it does after the cure. Alrighty, they're all finished curing. Let's get them out. 10mm spacing with 0.5 rib thickness. This one turned out all right. I think this one was the one that I had in the middle of the bed because it was such thin wall stuff. I put it where the LCD panel was at its best. However, it's quite soft. You can compress these ribs quite easily in places. This is why I moved away from doing the 0.5mm rib thickness with the Albatross. All in all, the print came out real nice. Let's see how much it weighs. 28 grams. Now that's pretty good. That's pretty good, but it's too weak. This can be improved with like ribs and stuff going through it, but when you can do this with it very easily all the way along the whole length of it, it's not very good. And this is what causes warping. If it's not printed in the middle of the bed, I get warping because the LCD screen isn't printing it correctly, and you end up with thin ribs and stuff, and I don't know, stuff just doesn't go right. So that's pretty good, but no bueno. Next up, the same 10mm spacing, but with the 0.75 rib thickness. Already it's much more stiff. You can't compress this. There is a lot of warping. This is again, I think, to do with the LCD screen. There was a split in it here and a split here, and that's going to warp and crack and cause a developing crack. So I need to find out what's going on with that's causing this. It's always in the same area of the build plate that causes it. See if we can get a good view of it. Yeah, you can see it there. Not the best, but let's find out how much it weighs. 26 grams. Okay, something funky's going on. How is this lighter? It's got more material. Let's weigh this one again. 28. 27. Okay, I'm confused. This should be heavier. This is definitely, like, I mean, I can crack this open and measure it, but you can clearly see there is a difference in the thickness of those ribs. You can see here, this is the 0.5. And you can tell that they are much thinner. Here, let me do this so you can see it better. There's clearly a difference in thickness of those ribs. So why this is lighter, I do not know. That is freaky. That is super freaky. What is going on? I'm confused. Let's just measure it again. 26, 27. Okay, that's better. So maybe I just need a finer level, and we'll just call these both 27, because if I weigh this one again, 28. Yeah, it's still saying it's heavier. I don't understand this. This makes no sense. All right, next up we have the 15mm spacing with 0.75 thickness. This is quite thick, quite stiff. It is compressible between the ribs, but it did print out okay, minus a few little imperfections in a couple places. Again, it's always in the same place. I do think it's something to do with the build plate, with the LCD screen. All in all, this turned out quite good. So let's see how much just having that extra bit of spacing between the ribs, having less ribs basically, how much difference we get from that. And 28 as well. So I clearly need better scales. I clearly need a better scale. I'm going to look into that, and I'm going to re-weigh everything. Let's try again. 28, yeah. So I clearly just need better scales. But the fact that they're all sub 30, they're definitely all sub 30 grams, is a good sign. But when it comes to the strength of these, if I give this a twist, it's quite stiff, but it does see how it collapses like that. Now this will be fixed if you put a carbon fiber spiral through everything, but carbon fiber is super expensive, so I'd try and avoid using it as much as possible for certain designs. But all in all, that's pretty good. So next up is the cross hatching. I'm going to start the print now. The USB's in there, ready to go. Printer's ready to go, and we should see those tomorrow. After that, we're going to compare all the different things. I'm going to see about getting some better scales, because that's clearly no bueno. We'll try and get better numbers on these. Reweigh everything except for the 0.5, because that's fallen apart. I might reprint that, maybe, we'll see. Next up is cross hatching, and then I'm going to print a set of molds. So make sure you hit the like button, make sure you subscribe. If you're not, go check out my other channel if you haven't already. There's nothing on there yet, but there will be soon. There'll be much better stuff on there soon. Soon, TM. So as always, I've been Chaos, and until next time, expect the unexpected, and I will see you guys later.
And a special thank you to all my patrons that help support the channel. If you would also like to support the channel, there's a link in the description.